Hey guys, welcome back to the show. I am your host, Megan Hardy, and I'm the founder of Fitness Uncharted, which is a women's health and fitness coaching company that is designed to help women lose body fat, build lean muscle mass, improve their metabolism, and feel confident and empowered on their health and fitness journey. And today I am going to be sharing with you guys what my training split looks like what my personally, me, Megan, what does my training look like? This is something that I get asked by people on social media and I get asked by clients. They're like, what kind of workouts do you do? I know what workouts you program for me or for us, but like, what do you do? And what's true is that I program my clients very similarly to my workouts, but there are variations because everyone's so individualized. So because I found what works really well for me, of course, I kind of duplicate that over to my clients, but also I switch it up. We edit and adjust their workouts based off what works best for them or what their goals are. So they don't necessarily do the same workouts that I do. But I'm going to share with you guys today what workouts I do, how I program my workouts, and how that might differ from traditional, strength training or bodybuilding culture. So we'll talk all about it. There are so many ways to skin a cat. So let's just start there because this topic can get so heated in the trainer coach fitness space about what is the best quote unquote, split or training programming. And there are so many different takes and so many different recommendations on what is the quote unquote best way to train. Is that full body? Should you do full body workouts? Is that like your traditional training splits where you're doing like one muscle group each day, or like quote unquote your bro splits? Like if you're not familiar, bro splits are like, that's going to be like your Monday chest day, Tuesday's back, Wednesday is, shoulders, Thursday legs, Friday arms, and then Saturday, Sunday rest, and then do it all over again. Like that's like your very traditional bro split. Which one's best? And the answer is yes. That's the answer. Which one of those is best? Yes. And really, the reason being, like the most important part is that you're using progressive overload and working the muscle to failure or 1 to 2 reps away from failure. We'll also talk some about like volume and whatnot of like how many times you're working those muscles, because that makes a big difference too. But really what we want is we want you to get to that 1 or 2 reps away from failure and use progressive overload. If you're not familiar with progressive overload, go check out the episode that I did addressing progressive overload and talking all about that, how you can build more lean muscle mass using progressive overload. But, with that being said, it's like there's so many different training styles and forms, like even between the Fit You coaches, my other coaches that work with me, like even between myself and my other coaches, we all have kind of different training preferences. Like we've found what works best for us. And I think that's why in the fitness space, it can get so black and white, because like what I found has worked for me. I personally don't want to do bro splits or training splits. Like I found what works really well for me and what I really enjoy and what I can be really efficient with. Versus, for instance, Coach Christy, she prefers more of a traditional like bro split. Like that's her preference. And she doesn't really like the style of training that I do as much. So, it also boils down to preference too. But I would try to get out if you find someone who's like, no, this is the way, this is the only way. Question that. There's so many ways to skin a cat. There's so many different options. Find what works best for you. And then at the end of the day, it really comes down to progressive overload, working the muscle to that point of like close to failure. And then of course, nutrition. We can't overlook nutrition. And we talk a lot about that on the podcast. So let's get into like my style of training, since that is one of the questions that people ask, right? So like my style of training, the way I personally train is I do an upper and a lower body exercise or work an upper and lower body muscle every day. Or in every workout, I'll work something upper body and I'm going to work something lower body. So it's not really full body in the sense of I'm not hitting every single muscle group, every single workout, but I am getting some kind of compound lift upper body, some kind of compound lift lower body. And so I am doing upper and lower in each workout. So I'm hitting multiple muscle groups and some upper, some lower, and I'm completing it as a circuit as well, but not a traditional circuit in the way that you might be familiar with. Like we're not doing one set of each and every muscle group. one time, and we're not going for speed or for hit. Like you might think of what I think of when I hear circuit training is like, okay, I'm going to do one set of bicep curls, then I'm going to do one set of leg extensions, and then I'm going to go to the next machine and I do one set of hamstring curls, and then I go and do one set of leg press, and then I do one set of shoulder press. It's not like that. Like we're not just like doing one set of every single muscle, because truth be told, with that style of like hit or circuit style training, you're probably not working any one of those muscles to the point of failure, because you're just doing like one or two sets and you're trying to combine it all into one workout. I find personally, I can't really work any one muscle to that point of failure and that point of muscle hypertrophy or growth. So that is not what I'm talking about here. We're still focusing on specific muscle groups in each workout. So I'll give you guys some examples, but the focus is still very, very, very much strength and progressive overload. It's not about like trying to get your cardio workout in, although granted, I will say sometimes it does feel like a cardio workout in the sense of like I'm huffing and puffing, but, and I will get my heart rate pretty accelerated doing some heavy lifts, but it's not intended to be like a hit style circuit training workout. It's still very much focused on strength, building muscle, progressive overload, resting as needed, those kind of things. But it is in a circuit. So I'm going to give you guys an example of like 2 days that I might do back to back 2 workouts. So first one, like say day 1, I'm going to pick something upper body and something lower body. So I'm picking hamstrings for lower body. I'm going to focus on my hamstrings, and I'm going to focus on my back for upper body. So what I might program is a couple of lower body exercises that focus on hamstrings, and then a couple upper body exercises that focus on back. So that might look like Romanian deadlifts being that first exercise. So I like to do, typically I'll do my heavier compound lift first. That way, when I'm starting to add the weight, I can have the most stamina and strength for that heavy compound lift. So I might do some Romanian deadlifts into some single leg deadlifts, and I might be taking like 30 to 45 seconds or a minute between my RDLs, my Romanian deadlifts, and my single leg deadlifts. Like I'm giving myself a chance to breathe in between, but I'm not necessarily taking like a 2 or 3 minute rest, pause or break. And this is again, where a lot of trainers and whatnot might be like, no, if you're going for strength or progressive overload or muscle hypertrophy, you need more. You have to take 3 minutes rest in between. Frankly, I'm going to say, no, you don't. That is one way or one approach. But really, like what I find is doing RDLs and then going into single leg deadlifts. I can use moderate weight for my single leg deadlifts, and my hamstrings are already fatigued from the Romanian deadlifts. And now I can fatigue them the rest of the way with these single leg deadlifts. And it's really, really, really hard, even if I am using lighter weight. What's funny is I feel like that meme with the girl that's like yelling, like, no, you can't do that. And like her friend's like holding her back. And then the cat is just sitting there at the dinner table, like, yes, I can. That's how I feel when people are like, you have to take longer rest pauses if you want good results. And I'm like, I can take as long of a rest pause as I want to. So there is something to be said about like, especially if you are newer or working on form, or really, really just going strictly for strength, taking longer rest pauses can be helpful in certain instances. But I will say I really just give myself a chance to breathe in between the exercises, but I do kind of roll from one to the next. And I'll talk about why I do that too. So I might go, oops, I almost just lost my mic. I might go, from Romanian deadlifts to single leg deadlifts. So that's 2 lower body exercises, and then to pull-ups. So right then and there, I already had deadlifts, like that really strong compound exercise for lower body. And then I'm going to go do pull-ups. So that's a compound lift for my upper body. So I am getting some major EPOC, you guys, like that post-exercise burn and calorie burn from doing these compound lifts. That's one reason that I program my workouts this way, because they are efficient and effective. But you're going to do, say, let's do pull-ups. So that's hitting back, right? And then I might do a single arm bent over row. And that's going to hit my back from a different angle, but I'm still hitting my back. And because I just did pull-ups, my back is already fatigued. So I'm probably going to do a little bit lighter weight on my bent over rows, or a moderate weight, but it's going to feel really, really heavy because I just did pull-ups. And then I might go into like a seated cable row. So again, I'm hitting my back from a different angle, working kind of different muscles in my back, but I'm still working back. So I might do those 3 back exercises back to back. And then I'm going to complete that whole circuit again. So I'll do my Romanian deadlifts, my single leg deadlifts, my pull-ups, my bent over rows, my seated cable rows. So as you can see, I'm not trying to hit every single muscle group. And because if I was doing that, it would take me forever to get any kind of volume or a bunch of sets for every muscle group. Instead, I'm picking a couple select muscles, upper and lower body, and then I've usually completed about 4 to 5 sets of that circuit. So that gives me a lot of volume for those couple of muscle groups, but I'm also combining some upper and some lower into one workout. Another example of, say, day 2. I go work out, maybe that's the next day or maybe that's 2 days later. I go for my second workout and it might be quads and shoulders. So I just worked out. The last workout was hamstrings and back. This one is quads and shoulders. So you can see lower body, my focus, I'm still hitting my lower body, but the focus is now on quads. And then I'm hitting shoulders for upper body. And so that could look like some back squats. Maybe I do like a narrow stance back squat to try to focus in on the quads. And then some step ups, some weighted step ups, and then some front squats. So I might do that heels elevated to try to target the quad more and get more range of motion, holding a weight at my chest. So I've got those 3 lower body exercises to fatigue out my quads and lower half. By that point, after that third exercise, my lower half is on fire. I am screaming on the lower half. So I get a break by going to upper body next and doing 1 set of the following exercises. I might do an overhead shoulder press for shoulders, and that's that other compound lift. So I had my squats. Now I have my overhead shoulder press. So that's getting another compound lift in, working multiple muscles and muscle groups. And then I might do some front and lateral shoulder raises. So by that point, my shoulders are screaming after doing overhead press into front and lateral shoulder raises. And so if to give my shoulders and upper body a break, I go right back in to doing squats, step ups, and front squats. And then my lower half is screaming. And then I go back to doing overhead shoulder press, front and lateral shoulder raises. So you can see how it's very efficient because I am taking some rest in between exercises as needed, but there's a flow to it to where I don't have to spend half of my workout sitting on a box or bench and resting. I can go and switch to upper or lower body while the opposite gets a break and gets to rest. So the reason I do this, number 1, if I haven't already said it multiple times, is efficiency. So my workouts, they're usually between like 45 to 55 minutes. Just depends on how much time I have. Also how many exercises I might be doing. I try to keep them like the examples I gave you guys to like 5 or 6 exercises typically. And I'll do like 4 to 5 sets. And I might do anywhere between like a 6 to 12 rep range, or even 15 reps if I'm just trying to burn out the muscle and maybe I picked too light of a weight, something like that. But I'm probably going to stay in that rep range. And the reason is because it's going to be so efficient. So if you are a busy mama or just a busy working professional or whatever, you don't have much time. I was just talking with someone the other day who's a hairstylist, and she is, doing her new book of business for the new year. And she's like, I need a schedule and time for myself, but it's hard to even give myself like a 45-minute chunk of time. I'm like, awesome. Make your workout more efficient and give yourself even 20 minutes. If you do this kind of circuit style upper and lower body, you can get a banging workout, even just doing like 2 or 3 sets of everything. If you do 2 or 3 rounds of that circuit, you can shorten it as needed, but you're still hitting everything. So the efficiency is huge because otherwise, with more traditional splits, like say, for instance, you're doing leg day and like, there's no way you can just keep hammering legs over and over and over again with each exercise. You are going to need to take more breaks and more rests. You're not going to be able to just keep going and going, hammering the same muscle group. So this is a really great way to make it fast and efficient. And it's very effective. That's where, again, like that meme comes to mind. I hope you guys know what I'm talking about, the one with the cat, because it's really funny. And I'm picturing it in my head. I hope you can picture it in yours. But that's where I feel like if anyone's like, oh no, that's not right, you need to take more rest or whatever, I'm like, well, it seems to be working just fine for me. I don't know. I'll show you a picture. It's fine. And it works really well for my clients too. So there's that. But The other thing that you get to do with this style of a workout is you get higher volume. So you get more volume for each muscle group within the week. Because I'm combining muscle groups, I can hit them more times throughout the week. So for instance, like on my first workout, when I was even doing, let's say hamstrings and back, yes, I was primarily focused on back, but I also had secondary muscle groups working as well. So for instance, my assisted pull-ups, my single arm bent over rows, my cable rows, the primary muscle group was back, but guess what was also working? My biceps. My biceps were also working during that as a secondary muscle group. So now I've basically hit biceps once already, right? And then somewhere else in the week, I'm going to have like a more dedicated bicep and tricep day. And so I'll hit biceps again. So that way, with combining it like this, I'm able to get more volume and more reps and more time under tension for my biceps. Like I'm hitting them multiple times in multiple ways throughout the week. So that's really helpful. Also, this is a really big deal. Like if you are, let's say, depending on if you're working out 3 times a week versus like 5 times a week, what you can do, like if I'm working or programming for someone working out 5 times a week, I might do, a chest day or a back day, and then a shoulder day, and then a bicep and tricep day. But because on your bicep and tricep day, that's kind of the second time you're really hitting biceps and triceps, because earlier in the week, when you were doing chest, you were also working your tricep some by pushing. Any of the pushing movement for chest was also partially working your tricep. Any of the pulling movement, like for pull-ups or back, was also working your biceps. So you're hitting it multiple times. If I'm programming for someone who's, say, working out just like 3 times a week, then I would just combine more of those together, so that you do hit all the muscle groups within the week. So the high volume thing is a big one. Also, if you're doing higher volume, especially lower body, you guys, I worked with a client, and he was always getting really bad DOMs after his leg days. Like he hated leg days because he would be sore for like literally 5 days. Like he couldn't barely walk until the next leg day. And he was like, it sucks. Like, I hate it. And I was like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do more leg days. And he's like, no, I hate legs. And I'm like, trust me, because a lot of people do 1 or 2 leg days a week, and then they're surprised why they're sore and why they have DOMs for 4 days afterwards, delayed onset muscle soreness. And the reason is because they're not hitting it, or they're hitting it too hard. That one day of the week, they're going hammer time. They're doing every single leg exercise known to man. And then it's no wonder that your body can't recover as well or as easily. And so it takes longer, and you're miserable until the next leg day. Versus if you're doing a couple leg exercises a few days a week, one, you're not taxing the legs to like complete oblivion that in that one leg workout, but then also you're going to be able to hit them, each different muscle group, more specifically. Like you might be able to target your quads more, your hamstrings more, or your glutes more. And you're going to find that you're not too sore a day or two later. Like there might be some tightness, but it's not the same as just hammering your legs one day out of the week. So if that's you, give this style a try, because it really makes the biggest difference. Also, another thing with the higher volume, if you're doing traditional splits, like, so say, you have your chest day, your back day, your leg day, whatever. If you're doing traditional splits and you miss a day, like say you miss leg day one week, well, you're screwed, because you're not going to hit legs again until this time next week. So now you've completely skipped a muscle group, unless if you do combine it later in the week, or you switch out for a different muscle group later in the week, whatever, you're still probably missing some muscle groups for that week because you missed one day. Versus if you combine them and you're hitting them different ways multiple days, then it's not that big of a deal if you do happen to miss one day. And so this is why this is really helpful, kind of combining some muscle groups. That way, you're going to at least hit it one day of the week, if not multiple times during the week. And then also, doing it this way gets you more days that you're you're doing those, incorporating those big compound lifts that engage multiple muscle groups and gives you more of that EPOC, more of that post-exercise calorie burn. Because I will say I'm not a big person for looking at your Apple Watch for calories burned, because truthfully, it really isn't very accurate. It's not accurate at all of like your true calorie burn. I will say it can be like a good set point. So if you're looking like comparing one workout to the next, that's where it can be kind of helpful. But I literally never look at calories burned. But what's actually funny is I had someone comment on one of my stories when I posted my Apple Watch to show, like, I think I was trying to show how efficient my workout was, because I was done in like 40 minutes or something like that. And I posted it to my story and they were like, oh my gosh, how did you burn? I forget what I burned now, but like 500 calories or something. They're like, how did you burn that much in that, that duration of a workout? And I was like, well, one, I did back squats and right into Bulgarian split squats. So there's that. That was probably why. But also it's like all these compound lifts. I am getting my heart rate accelerated. I am getting more burn during the workout. But it doesn't have to take me that long. But I'm really still going for strength, you guys. Like I'm still trying to push the weight. I'm not just trying to roll through the exercises and treating it like a traditional circuit in that sense. Very much going for strength, trying to set new PRs, trying to push that progressive overload. But doing this and getting more of those compound lifts in every day is going to help with that overall calorie burn as well. So those are some of the reasons why I program my workouts the way I do. I love it. It's worked well for me. I get in and out. It's very efficient. But really at the end of the day, like someone has said, I actually listened to a podcast recently and I would give credit where credit is due, but I cannot remember. I listen to so many podcasts. I can't remember who said this, but someone said that it's the last 5 reps that count. So whether you want to do 35 reps or, of lightweight, and you want to take forever to knock out 35 reps with your 5-pound weights, or whether you want to do 5 reps with heavyweight, it's the last 5 reps that are going to get you the muscle hypertrophy and the muscle growth. So think about it. Like if you're doing 35 reps, then it's really like not until that 30th rep that's really counts. That's when you probably start slowing down naturally because you can hardly lift the weight. That's when you're starting to really feel that burn set in. That's when you're going to start to see the muscle hypertrophy and muscle growth happen. And same thing, if you were doing 5 reps of heavyweight from the jump, it's going to be really, really hard and challenging, right? So it's still those last 5 reps that really matter. It's the last 5 struggling reps that are going to get you the muscle hypertrophy and muscle growth. So whatever your preference is, the most important thing is that you're using progressive overload. And if you need a refresher on that, like I mentioned, go back to episode number 9, where we talk about progressive overload, and give that a listen. So also, if you're going to give this a training style a try, let me know what you think. I would be so curious to hear if you haven't tried this before. If you're a client listening, you know what I'm talking about, most likely. But would love to hear what you think if you give this style of training a try. Feel free to shoot me a message on social media. I would love to hear from you guys and answer any questions that you might have. My social medias are in the show notes, so you can go check that out there. And as always, I hope this helps you move the needle on your fitness journey, and I'll catch you guys on the next episode.